Hello, my name is Andrea Lobb, and I am going to be talking today about some online resources for teaching with English learners. So let me show you my presentation. Okay, I hope everybody can see that. So again, I'm going to talk about online teaching resources that I use for teaching, at least with English pronunciation, but I also think they're very adaptable for English teaching in general. My company is called ClearSpeak, and I'm an English pronunciation specialist. I was trained as a speech language pathologist here at the University of Utah. I graduated in 2002. If you have any questions or want to reach out to me for any reason, please don't hesitate to send me an email at andrea@clearspeakpro.com. My phone number is also listed here if you want to reach out. Okay. I'm going to do my presentation this way. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is how I use actually PowerPoint to build some teaching materials. The pros of using PowerPoint is that you can build your own materials. You can also make those materials interactive. It's relatively easy to learn how to build materials with PowerPoint. And I think you can build materials for all age levels, which is really nice. You can also use the slides to build materials in other platforms like Boom Learning, which I'll also talk about today. And you can export your slides and materials into PDFs that are easily shareable with your students. The cons, I think, are that it's somewhat time consuming to build the materials. It's only interactive when you're using PowerPoint. And I think it's best interactive one person at a time, right? Like only one other person can take control of your computer and move things around. So if you're managing a large class, that could be a challenge. Let's look first at some books. So one of the things I've been doing is scanning books into PowerPoint. Now, some of my students are children, and so I've been doing children's books. And these are some of the books I've been building. So one that I wanted to share is Have You Seen My Duckling? This one I think is really fun when you look at, sorry, my, oh shoot. I wanted to show you kind of how you can do this page turn feature, which makes it look like you're actually reading a book, but my Zoom controls are right in the way. Anyway, so I scanned this book in and just page by page. So we might read this in class, in our online class. And then the other thing that I've done is I've made some of the icons interactive. So you can move this little baby duck around and match it around on the page. You could talk about vocabulary and have the student put the duck on the word that you're talking about or something like that. With Zoom conferencing, you can give other people control of your computer, and so they can move it around and you could be telling them what to do for some directions. Anyway, this is the activity I built off of that book. And again, what I'm hoping that this example does is give you some ideas about things that you can do and material that you can build and adapt for lessons that you want to teach in class. So what I did was I actually cut things out of some of the pictures and then made a multiple choice. You know, have you seen my duckling? Who is the mom talking to? I might describe the animal and do some vocabulary building in that way, and then give control to my student, and they can click on the correct picture and drag it over and match it, for example. And you know, you can do that on multiple pages. They look kind of funny when they're not matched up. But anyway, I hope that gives you some ideas of ways that you might have a book that you have at home that you could actually build into this really cool language learning activity. Okay. Some other PowerPoint activities that I've built. This one's more specific to pronunciation and listening. So I have some minimal pair words for a versus a, for example, and I might do a listening activity where I give my student control of the computer and I say, okay, I want you to put the word has in this box. They would take the word and drag it over. Or I might have them say it And maybe on this one, they say has instead of haze. And so I pull it over here and I say, that one's not quite right. Here's what I heard. I heard has. I need to hear haze. Oh, sorry, it's not cooperating on this box very well. And you can go through the list, and all of these are clickable and draggable around the screen. Okay. Another activity I thought of for this is I might have a list of words off to the side on a piece of paper, and I ask the student to type the word they hear into the box. So in that case, you could just click on the box, and I might say, listen for the vowel in the stressed syllable of the word. The word is together. And they would click on the box they think it went in and type together. And I might say, okay, the next word is complete. And then they would type complete over here. Another activity that I like for pronunciation is I built a book of knock-knock jokes. And so here's what I did. They all have picture cues. And again, if you have students that need more maybe support with pictures, you can throw as many pictures in here as you want for things. What I did was I built this knock-knock book to have some stress and intonation cueing on it too, right? Knock, knock. You can see that go up and down. Who's there? Boo. Boo hoo. Don't cry. And each one of these has this kind of attempt at some visual cueing for intonation and stress pattern. No, silly, cow says moo, right? What I like about knock-knock jokes for pronunciation too is like this one, right? Who's there? Water. Water who? What are you doing? It's a good example of how linking and combining sounds together makes what are you doing sound funny for what are you doing. And it really opens up a great conversation for English pronunciation. And knock-knock books are just a really, knock-knock jokes in general have a lot of this going on, and they're fun to do. Anyway, so this is one idea of how I'm using PowerPoint to make some materials for teaching specifically. This might be something that I actually share in session or in class with a student. Okay, so anyway, the benefits, I kind of scrolled over the pros and cons, but I think there's a lot of flexibility and creativity with PowerPoint, and it's free to use and free to create. So whatever materials you have sitting around, you can scan into your printer and upload as a JPEG. And again, that's a whole nother presentation about how to do these things. With issues or cons here, there are some copyright issues you do need to be aware of if you're going to sell your material or anything like that. You can share it for teaching, but you can't really share things that you make beyond that unless you're being really aware of copyright issues. And there's a lot of time in building the materials. Generally, my students really like the materials that I've been building. They like that interaction. Young students really love the books and the visual of having that in an online learning environment. As far as adaptability, I think these materials can be used in a face-to-face class, in online teaching. I use them in one-to-one teaching or small groups, so they work really well like that for me. I think it might be more difficult in a larger group to have that interaction because only one person can be interacting at a time. I do think that it's nice that the material is shareable in PDF, so that whole knock-knock book I can export as a PDF and actually just send that file to my students, so that's nice. Another platform that I use is Boom Learning. So I put some links in here. Shoot, hang on, the links only work when there we go. Oh shoot, sorry. I'm trying to resize it so that, there we go, I can look at those. Okay, the links only work when I'm in slide mode. Okay, so Boom Learning is a really fun activity. I don't think that's going to let you see it. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right way on my Zoom. New share. I'm going to share my whole screen, so no matter what pops up, you'll be able to see it. Okay. So this is my Boom Learning account. And what you can do is you can create classrooms. So I have a couple of different classrooms where you can add as many students as you want. You can assign tasks to the entire class, or you can assign tasks to specific students. And so it's really nice that way. Whatever the students do, the program keeps track of how much they interacted with the material and how they did on the material, what their score was on the material. So that's kind of nice. I wanted to show you some examples of like, well, what do you do in here? So people create these boom decks or cards or whatever for a variety of different learning material. This is one for forming simple sentences that I really like, where you can pick different kinds of sentence structures, and you could play this in session, in an online session. You could give your student control and they can click and move these things around. He is reading. Okay, thanks. Anyway, and then it will tell you whether or not it was correct or not, and then go to the next card. This is one that I created. This is an activity for teaching some vowels for listening and pronunciation. I put in sound files. So if you click on Hear Examples, it goes to a whole list of me saying the words and the sounds. And then this is interactive again. You can drag the words into the correct vowel category and check it, and it will tell you whether or not it's right. If you need help, it goes to another card that gives you an audio example, so you can listen to the examples and then come back here and play the game until they're all sorted correctly, and it goes through all of the English vowels. And then in Boom Learning, if you search for like adult ESL or something like that, people are making more material in here for ESL, and a lot of times these are things that you would buy or pay for. Not a lot of these are free, although there may be some free ones in there. But that's what Boom Learning is. So again, I use this in session. We might go through this in session, but then I also make an assignment after that the student can play the game over and over and over again. So the pros are you can build your classroom, manage your students, you can assign activities, you can build your own material, you can sell your material, you can buy other people's material, and it can be quite interactive, and you have that after class assignment, which is nice. The cons is there's a membership fee if you want to sell your material. It's $35. If you get the most basic membership, I think it might be free, but you can't build your own material. It does take a lot of time to build material, and I think it's a little bit kiddish, like the icons that go with your students are all kind of childish, and some of the sound and interactions a little bit childish. I've had mostly positive responses with Boom Learning. I have used it mostly with young children just because it takes a long time to build material. I haven't built a lot of adult material yet. And I've had some good follow through with assignments. It really depends on the person. I don't require assignments to be done, so it's up to the student to do those. I think it has good adaptability for doing group assignments. As far as doing it in session, again, it's easier, I think, in one-to-one and small groups. Readworks.org is another website I've been using quite a lot. And one thing that I like it, or the reason that I like it, is it's all about reading material, but you can find reading material at different age levels or grade levels for a variety of different topics. So let's say I have an English learner who maybe isn't quite that proficient with their reading yet, but they're an adult, right? I can still pick something at grade level 2 and a science topic, or maybe they have something else that's interesting. So it's not childish, even though the reading level is down at their level, and it will, it'll organize material based on word length and reading level. That they have this Lexile rating scale. I don't know very much about that, but here's what a reading assignment might look like. You know, this one has what, 169 words, so you can pick longer or shorter things. And you've got a small reading text that you can also export into PDF and use as a PDF. It also has questions associated with it for reading comprehension. And when you assign these things, it will keep track of how they did in your classroom. So that's really nice. A lot of these, I noticed this one doesn't have a vocabulary set. A lot of these have a set of like vocabulary support and learning for the vocabulary items in that reading, which is also quite nice. I don't know if you noticed there's a, does this one have it? There's a read to me one where it will read for you. It's very robotic. That's one of the things I like the least about ReadWorks. So again, it will track outcome of how your students did with their things. The other thing that I like about the outcomes actually is I had a student do this, and it was interesting to read some of the free text answers. So I could really tell like what was confusing. Is there a concept that we need to go over again that that you're not getting or whatever? So you can dig a little bit deeper into their answers and learn that. Has vocabulary, reading comprehension question. So the speak function is unnatural, and you do need to manage the results of the assignments, right? It's not, if I give a student an assignment, I do have to go back in there, look at what their answers are, and then take that next step to figure out, well, why did you get that wrong? Is there something I need to do about that? And that sort of thing. I think my students' reactions have been really pretty good with this. I like that I can find reading material that's appropriate for adults, that's at a level that helps them learn, that it's not just so challenging. And I think that it has pretty good adaptability because you could do group assignments or individual assignments with something like this. And I think that was it. I was trying to keep my presentation within a 5 to 10 minute time frame. I can go on and on. I do use a lot of other resources, but those are some that I thought would be really helpful in teaching English. Anyway, thanks so much. Again, my name is Andrea Lobb, and I look forward to any questions or support that I can offer. Thanks.